I am
sicko mode.
but it doesn't matter because I have nowhere to be or to go, so it's okay. And I do not have corona as far as I'm aware of. Quarantine's not doing me great. So although I'm sick and I'm gonna be coughing in your faces for the next couple of minutes, I'm still very enthusiastic to make this video. Since this is my first actual video where we're going to be talking about the important thing, fitness, I think that we should start off with the foundations and act like you're a beginner. Although I'm probably sure you're not a beginner. I want to be able to guide you all the way from the beginning until you're Arnie. That is literally the purpose of my life. I have no other purpose. And once I achieve that, once you have glistening muscles like Arnie, I can rest in peace. Wayman. I love people who are new and very enthusiastic when it comes to their first time training, but there's something I really dislike. It commonly happens with teenagers because they have this thing set in their mind, they know exactly what they want to do, and apparently they've done a couple of research on YouTube. It's actually really ironic because here I am giving you information over YouTube. And they train so awfully, but they're so set on something that they won't listen to anything you have to say. And it hurts my eyes because I know within the next 5 years of that training method, they're probably going to be in a wheelchair.
I have crippling depression.
Okay, that's a bit far-fetched. Let me drink some coffee so I can stop being a diva. This is me and my fitness friend. So today we're going to be focusing on these two terms that you may not have heard of before, one of them being the complex strength development and the other one being the differentiated strength development. I apologize for the way I pronounce these words. I know them from German and I'm trying my best to translate this into English for you. Have mercy. The complex strength development. This is probably the most important training you will ever do in your life, and I will explain to you how come. Do you think that Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he started off doing strength training, that he straight up was benching 120? I doubt it. So the complex strength development is the most important strength training you will ever do in your life, is because this sets your foundation. This is really the key, because if you train shitty in this training, the rest of your training's gonna be pretty shitty as well. The reason anyone starts going to the gym is because they want to change something. Maybe they want to gain some more muscle, maybe they want to lose some weight. Everyone has their own individual thing they want to achieve, and we're here to help you do that. Before we start being specific of what we want to do or what we want to train, we need to train every aspect of the muscle so that it can be prepared to do specific things. So our muscles are capable of doing 4 different things. One, which is very important, and we love to hear it, is the ability for our cross-section to become bigger. The second ability is known as intramuskuläre Koordination, also known as this. That is the ability for your muscle to activate more muscle fibers all at the same time. We'll get a bit more into detail about that later on. The third ability is called Muskelstoffwechseltraining, and that's basically just the way the energy is prepared in our muscle cell. And the last but definitely not least ability is your musculature all working together as one big puzzle. For example, when you do a squat, you don't just have your quadriceps working, you also have your glute working, you have your hamstrings working, basically that. Through this training, you're training all these 4 abilities at the same time, hence the complex strength development. It's recommended that you train this for about a year so that you have a strong foundation before you can start focusing on building up muscle, burning fat, looking like Arnie. So how do you train for your complex strength development? So if you're an absolute beginner, let's say this is your first time at a fitness center, then it's really recommended that you do 3 sets and 15 repetitions with a weight with which you could easily do another 5 once you've done your 15 reps. So it's very important for you to be able to develop your intermuskuläre Koordination, so your muscles working together, that you take exercises where you have more than one joint working. That could be pull-ups, that could be doing a leg press, doing bench press. You feel me? More joints. Very important. By doing this type of training, you're not overstimulating your organism if you're rather new to training. That is the biggest mistake that many people do when they come to the gym for the first time. They're very enthusiastic and they want to achieve something, but they tend to overdo it by taking too much weight, doing too many repetitions, and then they're going to be missing for a month. And that's not what we want. Because we want to torture you as soon as possible. So please come back. But by training like this, you're not overstimulating your organism and you're developing a nice foundation. If you're someone who has maybe trained before and then they had a year break in between because of an injury or the motivation wasn't working or God alone knows what happened to you, maybe you started taking crack, I don't know, man. Then I still recommend you start with the complex strength development, but just do it for a couple of months until you start to feel like, okay, yeah, I'm starting to get the hang of this again. By doing that, you can avoid injuries and causing yourself to be missing again for a year. Just saying. And also it's very difficult if you left off at a really high point and you miss for a couple of months and maybe even a year, to come back and lift that same amount of weight. So it's sort of like preparing yourself again to get back to that point. Let me set the stage for you, okay? You've been training your complex strength development for a couple of months now, okay? People were making fun of you because you're working with lightweight, but actually, you're smarter than them because you're doing it the right way, okay? Because once they come to that point where they can no longer lift weight because they don't prepare the muscles correctly, you'll be out there benching 120 kilograms whilst they're still stuck at those damn 80, okay? You feel me? So you're training smart. Okay, stage is set. Now, you can start training the differentiated strength development. What is that, you ask, my dear young grasshopper? So before you start stumbling into your gym with your new ideas on how you want to train, let's talk about how you specifically train one of those 4 muscles abilities, because that's basically the definition of the differentiated strength development. To train your first ability in your musculature, which is also known as the ability for your cross-section to become bigger, to get big muscles like Arnie, it is also known as hypertrophy training. This is one of the most common training methods in the gym, and you've probably heard of it before. If not, where have you been all this time? So if your goal is to get big muscles or have a bit of a build-up phase, then hypertrophy is the training for you. So the reps vary between 8 and 12, and the sets can vary between 3 and 4. And for the weight, you should probably take a weight with which the last 2 reps are going to kill you, okay? I want you to suffer, I want you to scream, and I want you to cry for your mama, okay? If your goal is to train on a more athletic level, and I'm saying you should probably be training for 3 years before you try this. It is called intramusculäre Koordination training, also known as IK training. It's a very common training between bodybuilders as well. So IK training is the ability to activate more muscle fibers. So if you're on the leg press, you know, working with your sub-maximal amount of weight, you're doing hypertrophy, only 60% of your muscle fibers are working. Okay, I said it. Okay, I'm sorry. And so with IK training, the thought is that you do 5 times 5, so you do 5 reps and 5 sets, and the weight should be killing you, okay? Leg day, what even is that? This is uncomparable. It is so intense, okay? Through the fact that you are doing 5 reps, it's a very short amount of time under tension, but you're working with so much weight, your muscles, they don't know what to do. They're like, what is even happening? There's so much weight, and so you know what they do? They wake up the lazy muscles. They're like, okay, wake up, bitches, we got work to do. Okay? You activate more than 60% of your muscle fibers as fast as possible so that you do not rip your bicep off, basically.
For those who are interested in the anatomical perspective of IK training, this is a picture of what your muscle fibers deal with when it comes to hypertrophy training. As you see, the muscle fibers themselves get thicker. In comparison to IK training, you see that more muscle fibers are activated, yet the cross-section stays the same. So basically, you just get stronger.
The third ability, known as metabolic training, is very interesting because you can train it in 2 different methods. So the first method is known as actual metabolic training, and the reason it has that name is because you're working with many repetitions, so we're talking 3 sets, 15 repetitions, and a light amount of weight. So by that, I'm saying you should take a weight with which after 15 reps, you could easily do maybe another 5 or double the amount even. Due to that training, you're activating the whole energy preparation in your musculature, causing the whole metabolism to work a lot more efficiently. So especially if you have diabetes or have any type of metabolic illness, then this is the training for you. The second ability is known as strength endurance training. It has the same build-up as the metabolic training because we're working with 3 reps and 15 sets. It can vary between 15 to 20 technically. The thing that makes a difference is the weight. We're working with sub-maximal weight, so technically after your 15 or 20 reps, you should be able to do another 2 to 5 reps, but because you're working with a lot of weight and the time under tension is so long, you're gonna die after those 15 to 20 reps, okay? That's the goal behind it. This training is suitable if you want to get a lot of power and a ridiculous amount of endurance in a certain type of muscle. For example, if we look at someone who plays uni hockey, they're gonna be training their legs with this type of training because they have to have power and endurance. For some people, they also say it helps them to get defined. Strength training generally has to be individual, so you can try it out, see if that works for you. It's very difficult to say this training alone is going to make you get defined or this training is going to help you get really bulky. Every person has to find out what works best for them. This is just sort of a guideline. And the last but definitely not least ability that you can train is known as the Intel muskuläre Koordination. I had to think there for a second. Basically, this training, it's not possible to train it singularly because it's always going to be a part of your training. If you're doing a leg press, then it's going to be in there. If you're doing a squat, it's going to be in there. If you're doing any exercise where you have muscles working, it's going to be like that, because it's very difficult to isolate one single muscle because you're always going to have other muscles underneath it, smaller muscles helping it, because it's impossible just to train your bicep. You're going to have your brachialis in there as well. So this hair is so annoying, but you get the idea. So to sum up the video, I'm basically just talking about the difference between the complex strength development and the differentiated strength development, and also reminding people not to forget to do the foundation building, because that is really the key to strength training. You know, so due to me trying to explain the different aspects and ways to do the differentiated strength development, we also were able to learn a little something about how to do different types of strength training and how to achieve different goals that you've set for yourself. But I will make another video in a bit more detail about how you train which exercise, and generally just talk a bit more about strength training. But either way, that is basically the video summed up about the two different aspects of strength training. Do not forget to do complex strength development if you are new. It's only the best for you, okay? Trust me, otherwise you can't get this juicy muscle like me. I mean, look at me as a role model. Just kidding, please don't take me as a role model. Anyway, that is all to this video. I hope that you're able to learn something. Thank you so much for dropping by, yada yada yada, and I will see you next time.